Well, hello again, and welcome to another episode of the Hyperion Adventures Podcast. I'm Tom. As always, I'm with my gorgeous, wonderful, intelligent, hard-working Disneyland Resort loving wife and co-host Michelle.
Thank you, sweetie. Hi, everybody.
You know, this week has really been all about Walt Disney World, and we appreciate that. But we had our experiences at the Disneyland Resort, so we decided this week, even though everything is about Walt Disney World, that we were going to talk about us, because that's what we do.
Well, I think we'll put a splattering about the grand celebration of the 50th anniversary.
We will be talking about that. But since we unfortunately weren't able to be there this week, but we were at the Disneyland Resort twice within the last couple of weeks.
Right. And there's some great news to share with people on that.
We will be talking about that instead. But we appreciate that you joined us today. In the future, you can find us most everywhere you get podcasts. By the way, we were recording this episode on Sunday, October 3rd, 2021. Why do I do that every week? Because some people listen to these podcasts days, weeks, months, years after we actually record them. I want to make sure that when we put out news or information or anything that they know when this is recorded. So take it with a grain of salt if you're listening to this months, years after we actually recorded that. Anyway, sorry, didn't mean to split off there. I just wanted to make sure people knew that. Right,
that's a good point. And this might also be a good point to every once in a while remind people, why do we call our podcast Hyperion Adventures Podcast?
All right, we're going to get into that right off the bat.
One,
because I thought I decided to outthink the room and what a brilliant name this will be for a podcast, not knowing that it'll be tough for people to remember. It'll be tough for people to find. It'll be tough to put it on any sort of social media or, the longest title ever. But mostly it's because when Walt and the Disney company began really doing things in earnest, their first studios were the Hyperion Studios.
Right.
And that's where they did a lot of their Mickey shorts. That's where they did a lot of the animation for Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And so we figured, since we were starting our adventure in this podcast realm, that, Hyperion kind of made sense, since that is where Walt kind of started his adventure in this larger company. And that's why there also, by the way, are the theaters in the various Disney parks that have the Hyperion name attached to it.
Right. It is definitely a creative name. And yes, as you pointed out, it might not be one that people typically find or know is associated with Disney, but it's still super creative and meaningful. So I love it.
If I would have been smart and said something like the Disney podcast about Disney stuff at Disneyland and Walt Disney World and Disney Cruise. Because if you do something like that, people will find you. But when you do Hyperion Adventures podcast, they're like, what's that about? But anyway, once again, I digress.
Sorry about that. I didn't mean to take the train off the track.
No, it's all good. It is a good point to bring up every once in a while. And thank you for joining us today and finding this weirdly named podcast. In the future, you can find us most everywhere you get podcasts. Where the very best place to find us is on our own website with the very long name, HyperionAdventuresPodcast.com. And while you're there,
you can actually become a Hyperion adventure yourself and get signed up for our newsletter.
Yes, please sign up for the newsletter. It's just another way to be involved in the Hyperion Adventures podcast world. Another great way to do that is to find us on social media. We're on Twitter at Hyperion Podcast. See, I can't fit it into a Twitter title. But on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest, I can, at Hyperion Adventures Podcast. If you are on Facebook, come on in and join us at our Hyperion Adventurers Facebook group. We got a lot of new members just within the last couple weeks. We'd love to have you join in the fun there too. It's just a great space for positive Disney people to talk about what they have going on in their lives, what their Hyperion adventures are.
Right. And it is, like you said, it's a positive group, but it's also a way to share some ideas. And if you have questions, that it's another resource group together.
It's a great space to be in, hanging out in with, and we appreciate all the Hyperion adventurers who joined in on that with us already.
And invite your friends to join along too.
Absolutely. Another place to invite your friends over to is our YouTube channel, where we're putting out videos. We may be dropping some of the pictures and stuff, kind of a slideshow video from this week's Disneyland trip that we just went on. If you want to find those, one, they'll go to the newsletter first, but two, you can also go to our YouTube channel. Just do a search for Hyperion Adventures Podcast, hit subscribe, and you'll know whenever we have that video or any other of our videos come out. And if you ever want to contact us for any reason, please hit us up at our Gmail account, HyperionAdventurespodcast@gmail.com.
Right. We love hearing from you, whether you just want to say hi, you have a question about an episode, have an idea that you'd like us to really look into and share with everybody. So feel free to reach out to us. We always appreciate the mail that we get each week.
You just want to say hi, we appreciate you reaching out to us and just showing that you are enjoying the content, or if you want something to help boost up the content that we're putting out there, we appreciate that as well. Also, if you want to support the show, we have a couple ways you could do that. We have our Spreadshirt shop. Just go to spreadshirt.com, do a search for Hyperion Adventures Podcast, and you'll find all our merch there. Or you can go to our Patreon page, patreon.com/Hyperion Adventures Podcast, and become a patron there and get some swag, get some Disney Dishes blog recipes of the month that we put out there as well. We have memberships for as low as $2 a month, and we appreciate everybody that's already become a patron for that account. Also, another great way is through reviews. Now, we didn't get a new review this week, but I wanted to revisit a review we received last week because there was some clarification to last week's review. Really? It was a great review, a really nice review, a 5-star review, which we really appreciate. And when I read it last week, I was noticing the name was something like Disneyland. It was D-I-N-N-A, and I couldn't, was it Dina? Was it Disneyland Dinah?
Right.
Or was it misspelled and was it Disneyland Donna? Well, she wrote back, added to that review this week and said, I am Donna. So sorry about misspelling, but love you guys and so fun to listen. I'm close to Disneyland Park, but love Walt Disney World too. Thank you again for all you do. So that review was from actually Disneyland Donna. Thank you, Disneyland Donna.
Yeah, thank you so much. We appreciate the feedback and the review, and glad that you're also a Disneyland follower as well.
Yes, so much fun at Disneyland. We just had a great time at Disneyland ourselves. Now, here's the part where I always wonder, if I remembered to be prepared for this part, but definitely see if Michelle remembered to do this part. And that is because we are now to my favorite thing from this week. Every week we try and put out something between the two of us. And if you want to chime in as well, that is something that was kind of our favorite thing from this week. It could be Disney related. It could be something we watched, something we experienced, or it could be something from our own lives that was just kind of our favorite thing from this week. And so Michelle, 1, did you remember?
I did.
2, if you did, yay. Since you did, what is your favorite thing from this week?
So my favorite thing, I think, is something that, brought me joy, and it actually spread over a couple nights, and it was watching all the new fun things at Walt Disney World for celebrating the 50th anniversary. So it was fun to be able to see Harmonious streamed live, as well as the new fireworks show Enchantment, and then seeing some of the specials that were on it. It was just fun to really feel that excitement, that vibrantness of the kind of dedication of Walt Disney World after 5 decades. So I think even though it wasn't one thing, one day, it was spread out, the concept of it brought me joy this week.
Really good. Yeah. My favorite thing from this week is very similar, but I'm not going as broad. I'm going to our friends that happen to be out there right now and getting to kind of live vicariously through them over the last couple days. We've seen many pictures on social media. We've received texts, just various things from our friends who are out there right now. Right. And, we originally were planning to be out there with them, and unfortunately our plans fell through, but it's so nice to see all the fun that they are having, all the interesting experiences they are having, and how they are celebrating Walt Disney World's 50th birthday as well. Yeah,
that is so true. And there's some spectacular people there, and we're so thrilled that they're having a great time.
Yes, and some of them have even gotten together and had a good time together while out there, and it just makes me smile to see those pictures, and quite envious, but at the same point, just happy for them as well. So while we're talking talking about the Walt Disney World's 50th. Why don't we kind of discuss a few of the things that we've seen over the last few days and what your feelings are on the celebration to this point, knowing that we still have, some 18 months to go of this. But, the actual day was October 1st. Right. It was Friday. What are your feelings on what you've seen so far?
Well, I guess if I was putting it broadly in one word, I would definitely say magical. I think it all looks spectacular. I was glad to see on social media a little bit more in depth about Harmonious. When we saw it streaming, it looked beautiful, but we came to the conclusion, it's probably something that you do have to be there in person to really get the full effect of it. And that's what, social media is kind of confirming that it is pretty impressive. And it's great to see it live. I think on a funny perspective, and it may sound like sour grapes, but it really isn't, is seeing all the crowds that were there and, just how I think what I had said to you the other day was you could still have a great time, but in the midst of all these crowds and having, the challenges of getting around and issues and stuff like that, it wouldn't be as fun all the time because you're having to deal with that. But I think the things look really great. I'm excited about some of the new merchandise that has come out, and I know they're going to continue to roll more and more out. It just really, I think, I love the color schemes that they've embraced. I get very emotional and excited to hear cast members excited about it, and feeling that they feel such an important role in it that they play and their excitement about it as well. It just, that's great to really see and experience.
Yeah. I mean, the cast members are what brings the magic to Disney. They provide it day in, day out, every visit, every trip. The cast members are so important. Seeing videos of people on the morning of October 1st walking into Magic Kingdom and the cast members lined up and down Main Street, USA, applauding and waving. Right. And it really touched my heart. That may actually be my favorite thing from the entire week. That was really, really heartwarming to see. I agree with you as far as Harmonious and Disney Enchantment. And I said it was, we were watching them those nights. One thing, these nighttime spectaculars that Disney puts on are so enormous and big. And I think this is true of just regular fireworks in general from any place, that they're hard to capture when you're just sitting on your couch on a television watching YouTube or whatever it is. It's hard to really get the feeling of them. And we've had this in the past with the Disney Parks. We love Disney Parks blog, but we've seen them do live streams of things that we have experienced for ourselves in the past, and we're like, they didn't capture it at all. It was so much better there in person. Again, no offense to them. It's not an easy thing to do for anybody. So
it's like when you look at your own personal pictures that you take during something like one of those events or any kind of big event in life, or, you're at a very impressive area of a national park, for example, and you just, the photo can't capture that total experience, but you think it is, and then you get home later and you're like, oh, I guess this, you're showing it to somebody, you're like, well, it's really beautiful and this doesn't capture it. Somewhere in this house I have a photo I took from a trip to Alaska when we were on a nature tour, and there was I think it was a black bear, maybe a brown bear, but there was a bear out there, and it was like, oh my God, look at that bear. So great. Took a picture of it, you get the picture, and I'm like, you see that little brown spot there? It's a bear. I swear it's a bear. But it looked like it was almost like you could reach out and touch it. That's how it was. So it's kind of the same thing. And that's why I was saying I'm going to reserve judgment on it until we get to experience it for ourselves in person and see what it's all about. But we have seen from the people that have actually experienced both of those things that I think they're a little more split on Enchantment, but on Harmonious it seems like the people that have been there and checked it out really barges
lunches aside during the day, really, really love that show.
Yeah, exactly. And, going to the enchantment spectacular of it, I think when we saw the streaming, they were kind of showing the images of the projections down Main Street, USA. And on that live streaming, I think we both concluded it didn't look like it was as encompassing as what we've experienced at Disneyland. But on social media by some other people, you see that it is. And let me tell you from experience, when you're on Main Street USA and all those projections are going around you and you're hearing the music and watching the fireworks over the castle, it is great. It's a great, you feel more of a part of the show rather than just a spectator of the show.
Right. One thing that has been a complete hit is the beacons of light at the various different, park monarchs that are throughout the entirety of Walt Disney World, but especially, and every picture I've seen of it in video is stunning, of Spaceship Earth.
Right.
I mean, what they did with Spaceship Earth
Yes.
is absolutely gorgeous, and I cannot wait to experience that for ourselves coming up here within the next year or so, within the 18 months, or however long they keep that up. I'm hoping they keep it forever, because
True.
it is spectacular looking.
Yeah, I totally agree. The images that I've seen look fantastic, and I mean, I've always thought Spaceship Earth was beautiful day and night for different reasons. When they had illuminations and they would project the globe at the end of the day as you're walking out in that evening, it was always fun to see too. But yeah, you're right. With the beacons of light in all the parks, that one is a standout for sure.
Right. The other thing that I found interesting, because I was really scoping out a lot of stuff on that day, on the first, when it was going on, was that Magic Kingdom apparently was packed, which should be no surprise.
Right.
As a matter of fact, they cut off park hopping at some point because of the fact that they had so many people there. Yet, if you went onto the My Disney Experience app and checked the wait times at the attractions, they were all pretty mellow, as they were throughout all the parks at Walt Disney World. But I found it fascinating that pretty much everybody was just kind of hanging out around the hub, getting merchandise, getting popcorn buckets, getting all sorts of stuff. Apparently, they weren't going on as many attractions as you would think.
Oh, yeah. I think, I've seen some hilarious tweets about people going into the Emporium, and kind of like the crowds of, the massive, I don't know, hysteria about it and things like that, which is really funny and kind of comical, I guess. But yeah, I think that's what a lot of people were doing versus going on attractions.
Yeah.
I mean, just the line when the park first opened, and I know it opened a little earlier for people who wanted to go into like the Emporium. That queue was crazy long. So
yeah, just really interesting stuff to see there. I sent pictures from the app to you to show you because you were working at the time, and how little the wait times were, and I was fascinated by it all. Another thing that I want to mention, which is outside of the parks, but something that was that celebrated the Walt Disney World's 50th birthday, was the most magical story on earth. The 50 years of Walt Disney World that showed on ABC.
Right.
I thought that was a really well done television special.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. It really, it really captured all the highlights. It had some of the grandeur of, like the, enchantment coming out and having Christina Aguilera and Halle Bailey singing with the orchestra. It was just stunning.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I mean, I thought it was great because it hit all the aspects of it. It did the extended story of how Walt Disney World came around, and even many of the struggles they had, including of course Walt's death, which which really tugged at the heartstrings as well. Even though we've heard that story
over and over
50 times for 50 years at least, it was still very fascinating to go through. And then it went from the past through the present, the great performances that were there, and then into the future of what's still to come, what we're expecting to see within the next few years. Some of it that we'll be mentioning today during our Disney Stories of the Week. And it was just really, really well done.
Right. I agree. And like you're saying, tugs at the heart. I think the thing that always gets me and always surprises me is when you hear some of the people who were close to Walt, and even now, more than 50 years later, they still, when they tell the story, they get choked up. That the type of person that he was to influence them in such a unique and positive way, and how they obviously realize that his legacy has lived on because he was such a special individual.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does touch your heartstrings, and it's really good. And if you haven't got a chance, if you didn't get a chance to see it while it was on ABC on the night of October 1st, you can still go check it out on Hulu. It's available there right now, and I believe it's coming to Disney Plus sometime this week, later on this week. So any of those ways you can check it out, and definitely recommend that you do. So anything else you want to talk about with Walt Disney World's 50th birthday for now?
I could go on and on, but I think we do have other things for this show. So I will refrain for now.
Okay. And until we actually get to experience more of it for ourselves later in the year. So let's move on to really what this week's show is about. And we have lots of stuff for you this week, of course, including, Walt Disney World news, lots of it. We received some great news if you're looking forward to a star cruise to a galaxy far, far away, or a visit to Xandar in 2022. What's that about? We'll tell you. Speaking of next year, there's a new piece of technology you might be interested in if you have a Walt Disney World vacation on the calendar. We'll tell you all about that as well. But let's get to our main topic of the week. So yes, switching away from all the Walt Disney World news this week, unfortunately, we were not able to make it out there to the most magical place on Earth. However, within an 8-day span, we were able to pay 2 visits to the happiest place on Earth. Yes, the Disneyland Resort. And we got to check out a bunch of new stuff that we haven't experienced yet, and relive some old things that we've missed for a long time. So we're going to talk a bit about all the stuff that we checked out while we're during our September visits to the Disneyland Resort.
Yeah, because there's still a lot of fun going on there. They're also doing some touches of things with the celebration, because it's that really is being recognized at all the parks. But excited to talk about our fun times there.
Yeah, so the reason why we had to push a couple of visits together at the end of September is because, and we are Magic Key holders. We have not activated our Magic Keys yet officially, because of the fact that back in, I think it was like June or something, we had purchased the 3-day Southern California ticket, where it's like $83 a day for one park, per day. And our intention originally, we were going to be up for a couple days in July, and then probably hit up another day in July or August, and then, have that all done. But then, of course, some tough things happened within our world that kind of changed our plans dramatically. And so we needed to use up those last 2 days before October hit.
Right, yeah.
And we were running out of time. So we're like, okay, we can do one on this day and one on that day, and let's go and knock those out. And we'll get to check out some of the Halloween stuff and some of the things that we hadn't seen yet that we were planning on seeing in July and August.
Right. So although it didn't turn out for our original plans, I think we still ended up then having some special other kind of fun by, like you said, seeing the Halloween time there, which is always so fantastic.
Right. So we used these tickets. We went to Disneyland Park on Sunday, September 19th, and we went to Disney California Adventure Park on Monday, September 27th. Now we'll start with Disneyland Park. My first instinct going to Disneyland Park, and one of the things that always makes me happy during this time of year, is the incredible Halloween decorations. And they start right as you want. Right when you get to the Mickey and Friends parking garage, they already have a lot of the Halloween signs up and everything there. But then you get to the entrance and all the different pumpkins that are they're not real pumpkins, but they're carved into Disneyland characters right there at the entrance. And it always just makes me smile.
Right. I mean, the entrance gates at Disneyland, they are set up in a way that you can really get them, that they really do a great job at decorating them. And they do it differently at each of the two entrances, whether it's California Adventure Park or Disneyland Resort Park. The Disneyland Resort one is just so cute because it has the Fab Four carved into pumpkins, and it's just so cute and fun. And I think especially for the kid in all of us, but if you do have little kids, they get so excited. Because it's just right there.
Yeah. It starts off your day really, really well because they're right there in front of you. You get to the train station and it's ready to go there. But then you go in under the tunnel there and into Main Street USA, and there it all is. The bunting in the sort of Halloween fall type colors, the jack-o'-lanterns lining up Main Street USA, the big Mickey pumpkin right there at the beginning of Main Street USA. It's just so fun.
Yeah, it is. And you can't help but smile.
Yeah, for sure. So one of the first things we wanted to do was make sure and accomplish a goal that we weren't able to do what we were planning on doing in July because it had just opened up. Unfortunately, we just never made it into Disneyland Park, but we made a point of this being our first thing, and that was to go check out the reimagined Jungle Cruise.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I was really surprised that I thought it was going to be a lot more different than it was. So I was glad to still see so many of the wonderful things and jokes that we're so accustomed to. But the things that they did change, I thought were hilarious and fun to watch. I love the Trader Sam's
gift
shop there.
Spoiler alert. I guess I should have spoiler alerted. It's a gift shop now.
I think there's been a lot out there on social media, but before this now. But it was really, really fun and cute. What about you?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It still was the Jungle Cruise. It was pretty much the same outside of a few new scenes. The jokes were mostly, you expect the same, every once in a while you get a new joke, which is always amazing to me because, they've just been telling them for so long, but you love that you've heard the jokes a million times, but you still love most of them, especially when they're delivered well by a good skipper.
Right. Yes.
So a lot of the same jokes, but so it was very nostalgic. It still felt like the Jungle Cruise, but you got those more inclusive scenes within the cruise itself, and the few new things that we had not seen before. We're not going to give them all away here. We gave away but you can find them easily if you want to check them out. But really enjoyed it. I thought the scenes were good. I thought it was they just kind of freshened up the Jungle Cruise, and it just made it a little better. Yeah, agreed. I don't think I could add to that. Yeah. So really enjoyed it. Hopefully you get to check out the new Jungle Cruise yourself. It's now, I believe it's completely open at the Walt Disney World Resort as well. I have Magic Kingdom. And of course it's open. It's been open at Disneyland since late June, early July. I think it's early July. Yeah, I think it was July. Yeah. Definitely check it out. So since we had to drive from Southern California all the way up to the Disneyland Resort early in the morning, we were a little hungry when we got there. So we wanted to do the Jungle Cruise first before lines got large. But then we needed to eat something. And so we wanted to check out something we haven't done before, even though we've been to the Tropical Hideaway. Right. We've only picked up Dole Whip there. We have not actually checked out any of the food, but it was right there. And so that's what we did. We went and got a couple of the bows that are available for you at the Tropical Hideaway. Yeah. Oh my God. I don't know why we waited so long. They hit the spot. We were hungry. They hit the spot, and they weren't so heavy that it was like, it was almost 10 in the morning, I think, when we were there, and we didn't want to overwhelm ourselves with food late in the day, knowing we were going to eat lunch before, a couple hours or whatever. So, got a Dole Whip float, and a couple bows. The bows we got were the Loco Moco, which you got, and I got the lime chicken, and they were both delicious. Yeah, they were. I think mine was the yummier one. I'll be honest. I actually agree with you. Yours was. I will definitely,
it was one of those things that I'll make a point to try it again. To definitely get it again. It went well with the Dole Whip float for sure.
Slightly spicy.
Yeah, it was great. It definitely hit the spot, whether you're having it as a breakfast food or if it was something that you just had later in the day. I mean, it's not a full meal. Like you said, it's not super filling, especially just having one. But it's a great snack. It's, there aren't a lot of breakfast places open at Disneyland right now. And so, if you're getting there and you just want to tide over till you actually have more of a meal for lunch, it certainly hits the spot.
Yeah, I think it's good. You could get a couple of them for a full lunch or dinner. You could get one or two or breakfast. You can get one for a snack at some point. We were lucky enough to get a table right by Rosita.
Yeah.
She's the audio animatronic, like Tiki Bird that's right there. And every once in a while she comes to life and we'll tell a little joke. Right. And we're right. So that was, so we had breakfast in the show.
Right.
And we also had a view of the Jungle Cruise.
Right.
Coming
You're
around
right
as
on
well.
the water there of the Jungle Cruise where some of the boats are passing by. So yeah, it was great atmosphere, delicious food. I would recommend that to anybody because I don't know why we waited so long to really do that. I think like you said, we've just done Dole Whips and walked away and walked through the parks.
Unfortunately, no mobile ordering at Tropical Hideaway. Right. I wish they had that there, but it was really easy to just go through and get everything we needed. So
yeah, they have it laid out good to be able to, start with, whether you're getting something called like a Dole Whip or float, and then you go to another station, you're just following through to actually get your food, and they have it there ready just to serve it up. Yep. So really very quick.
Well done, and we will be hitting it up again. Now, the other thing that we really wanted to make sure and accomplish on this trip to Disneyland was to go check out Haunted Mansion Holiday because 1, we love the Haunted Mansion. 2, we love the Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yes.
3, we love Haunted Mansion Holiday, which combines both of them together. Now, we debated when we got to there because we'd seen the line fluctuate at various different times of the day. It was down to 35 minutes. It was up to an hour at certain times. Right. But we wanted to be sure we accomplished this at this moment. So it was posted at 55 minutes. After some debate, we went ahead and got in the queue. And I would say that the 55-minute queue was well exaggerated. I would say it was more like 25 to 30 minutes tops that we zipped through there. And we had a little bit of, the one thing was that we had a little delay. We were all the way in, went through the stretching room, which was good to do the stretching room once again. Went there. We were literally 7 people away from getting into our doom buggy.
Yeah, when I counted the parties, we would have been the 5th party.
And it unfortunately hit a pause for a while. So we ended up sitting there for about 10 to 15 minutes waiting for them to get it restarted. But after that, good to go. Right.
I mean, I'm wondering if they posted that wait time because it seemed like it wasn't the first time it had paused for a little bit that morning. Because they already had engineers there on site, and I don't know if you've ever experienced a ride that goes down where they have to bring in the engineers. It's not like instantaneously; they don't have them around in the room, and so they usually have to call them and blah blah blah. But so I think maybe some of that was because of that experience already happening.
Yeah, think of it as like when your computer has to reboot for whatever reason and there's an update involved and how long that might take. Sometimes that's what happens when they reboot these attractions. It seems like you have to go through, we have to go through an update. Darn it. Right. Should have done that earlier. But I put it off, and now I have to do it.
Right. So. But it was exciting to see although we couldn't hear them, see the engineer give a thumbs up. Yeah. So I was like, yes. Yay.
Anyway, we did get on, and Haunted Mansion Holiday is as great as it's always been. Loved it, one of the best things about it is the experience of checking out the new gingerbread house every single year.
Right. And I think we did mention a little bit about that in the last episode, especially when we were talking about foodie things and stuff. But yeah, it's just wonderful. Again, wonderful to see that it was capturing the essence of all the past Haunted Mansions holiday. What is it called? The
Haunted Mansion Holiday?
Holiday. Yeah. That
thing.
I'm usually pretty good with getting, the nomenclature correct, but I think this morning I need more coffee.
We all do.
Yeah. But anyways, to see that it had, so much details, I could appreciate it more.
Yeah.
With that.
It was just great. Love it so much. Hope you guys all get a chance to, if you've never done it before, or if you haven't done it in a while, to go check out Haunted Mansion Holiday. It's just such a fun attraction. So, and one thing I will say is that I didn't get, we were wearing masks on the attraction, obviously, for the circumstances as they are right now. I did not get the normal whiff of gingerbread that you get at the gingerbread house this time, maybe because I was wearing a mask, but you said that you thought you did.
Yeah. So. And it's funny because I'm one that doesn't have as keen sense of smell anyways. And this time I really felt like I got to experience a little bit better than sometimes in the past.
I'm jealous. We'll just have to wait till the next time we get to go on it. So it was great. Loved it very much. After that, we were hungry again.
Shocking.
So we headed over to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, wanted to check it all out. And we picked up a couple Ronto wraps, as you do. We got the vegetarian one, which I know you love very much. I got the standard. Both were great. We were starting to wind out the day. We were actually not expecting to be there for a long time. I had my mother come over and she was watching our son Scott for the day, and we didn't want to make her hang out at, knowing we had to drive all the way there, drive all the way back, too long. But there were a couple more things we wanted to check out. And so we were going to go head over to Tomorrowland to go check out the Magic Key area that is for, Magic Key holders.
Right. Before you get into that, a couple things I want to say is that, when looking for a table over at Galaxy's Edge, it is kind of challenging with mobile order because you get the people who already have their food getting, at a table, and then people who are mobile ordering where somebody's going to get the food and the other part of the party
and people that just want to find a spot to sit for a little bit.
Right. But I have to say, I was really impressed with the cast members there who were very quick to actually wipe down the tables as somebody left. So, you didn't have to, like, when I spotted the people leaving and I went to go sit there, and I know you were coming at that time with the food. But, some nice cast member was like, oh, let me get that. Let me wipe this down, even though the table didn't, the people before us weren't slobs or anything like that. But it was just nice that they did that right away. And, they were very much, then I noticed he was very close by watching every table to be ready to clean it off. And I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah, especially during the, the climate that we're in right now with a pandemic still going on out there. It's nice to know that the tables are getting cleaned regularly in between guests when they have the opportunity to do so. So yes, again, cast members bring the magic for sure. So anyway, thank you for that. It's a good reminder of that.
Yeah, didn't mean to derail you again.
No, it's all good. We did go over to Tomorrowland to go check out the Magic Key sort of annual pass holders area. We got there and decided, because they were going to scan us in. Again, we didn't use our Magic Key for this. We didn't want to accidentally activate our Magic Keys because our Magic Key will actually start the first time we use it. So we wanted to keep that calendar going if we could help it make the year start a little later. So we decided not to go in there and instead went into Star Trader to go just, look at some of the merchandise that they had around there. Now, here's where we have an interesting story to tell. None of that was really thrilling that I just told you about, but I have an interesting story in that up until this point, we have been very, very lucky with virtual queues. We, as a matter of fact, are perfect with virtual queues. Not that we've nailed them every single time we've tried, but every single day that we've wanted to go on an attraction with a virtual queue, to this point, it will fail at some point. But as of this point, we have either gotten it in the morning at the morning window, or in the afternoon window. And not only that, we've also been able to ride them. Like it hasn't been like an extra boarding group that may or may not make it. No, we've been able to do both. Now, we did not on this day get the morning one when we were at home before we left for Rise of the Resistance at Disneyland Park. We're like, okay, fine. We'll try again middle of the day. We don't know if we'll be staying long enough, even if we get it then, but we're going to try anyway. So we got to the park. We were actually in the Haunted Mansion holiday queue when noon came along, which was time for that. So, us and other thousands of guests were there trying to get it. And we got to that point and we were both trying. And it looked like for a moment that I had gotten through, hit all the buttons right. And I thought I had gotten through, but then nothing came up in there when I looked for virtual queue to say, oh, you've received boarding group 133 or whatever number it is.
And it's so funny when you're at that time of day and you're around a lot of people, like if you're in a queue for an attraction, because then you'll start hearing screams of joy from the people who actually get it. And if you're not one of them, you're like, oh.
So, and it was fine. I was like, okay, I guess we didn't get it. I thought we did, but I guess we didn't. Fine. We weren't sure we were going to be able to stick around long enough, even if we got a boarding group to do it anyway.
Yeah. It's funny because mine instantly said you didn't, something went wrong.
Yeah. So we're like, fine, we'll just, go through the rest of the day. We've done Rise of the Resistance before. It's not a big deal. And maybe flash forwarding to where I was talking about, we were in Star Traders and I was just looking at my phone because we were actually placing some mobile orders for later in the day that we were going to pick up some food to take home with us. Mm-hmm. So I was just looking at those times to make sure I had those correct. So I know because we had like 3 places we wanted to stop to get food to make sure what order we wanted to pick those up at. And then I look at my phone and it suddenly pops up, your boarding group has been called. I'm like, what? So I went to the virtual queue and there it is. Yep, sure enough, we had gotten group, 100. It was a really good day for Rise of the Resistance. We had gotten group 130 something or other, unknowingly. And it actually was running so well that was like at 2:30 in the afternoon. Right. It was already that high into the group. So we're like, I run and got my shot. Our boarding group just got called. So we had to book it. We just left Star Wars Galaxy's Edge to watch Tomorrowland. We had to book it back to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge to Black Spire Outpost. Went and got Rise of the Resistance. And yes, it was great as it always was. And it was extra fun because we were not expecting to ride it.
Yeah, it's as if somebody said, hey, by the way, I can't go. Do you want to take my pass? Yeah. And that's what it felt like. It was like, no, we weren't. We went through we didn't get it at noon. And then all of a sudden it's like, what? Yeah. Somebody just gave us a special treat.
Yeah. So really, really unexpected, but we once again remained perfect on our virtual queues, which is so fun.
Yeah.
So that was pretty much it for our attractions. As I said, we had placed some mobile orders for some food that we wanted to pick up and bring home with us so we can enjoy some of the food when we got home as well. So we split up and went to a couple different of the quick service restaurants and picked them up. And then as we were walking out, heading down Main Street, USA to go to the long walk back to the Mickey and Friends parking garage, what should happen just as we get to Main Street, USA, but...
They're thinking of you, honey.
Let it go, let it go. Suddenly the music comes on, like as if they knew I was approaching.
Right.
And yes, the float containing Anna and Elsa and Olaf and everything came strolling down Main Street, USA, and I'm there performing along with the song, and it was just like the perfect ending to our day for me at Disneyland Park.
Yeah, it like tied it up in a bow really nicely for you, which was fun to watch that experience of you being excited. The float was fun too, but watching you was more entertaining and loving.
It was just such interesting timing and hilarious, that it was just so funny that it happened that way. So we did take some food home. We picked up some things. By the way, it was gay days going on there. It's always so fun when gay days are going on at Disneyland Resort, checking out the enjoying and celebrating along with the LGBTQ plus community is always so fun.
It is. And it's great that Disney actually, have special foods offerings during those days that make it even more special. We were able to get a couple slices of the rainbow cake over at the Plaza Inn, which is, the restaurant at the end of Main Street. And for breakfast time, it's reservation. It's a brunch again.
It's a character breakfast.
Right. And so that's reservation only. But the rest of the day, it's more... they don't do mobile ordering, but you can go in and just get some foods there. And they do have some really great things. And so I just went in and purchased a couple cake slices of cake, which was amazing. Yeah, and then over to Jolly Holiday to pick up some other things. We were bringing some treats home as well as some food. I do want to give a shout out to the French Market restaurant that is there, in New Orleans area. And so ordered some of the jambalaya, the vegetable jambalaya. And it was really delicious. Really was. I was really hesitant about it, but I thought, all these times that we've gone to New Orleans, we have eaten at Blue Bayou before, but I never had the jambalaya from the French Market. And so got that, and it was great. But the to-go container that they put it in was the most convenient.
Especially since we always are like at the end of the day taking food with us, and we're always like when we get there, especially when we mobile order, we're like, can we get something to put this in, to a box, a bag, whatever. So the fact that it was already in one was really nice.
And a really nice container. I mean, if you have different people in your party wanting to eat food from different restaurants, which we sometimes do as well. So like here's kind of like a quasi tip. That one is well secured. It's in a plastic container. It's like you said, already bagged and ready to go. So if you're meeting up with other people, you may want to take that food to another restaurant that doesn't, it may have just more of a cardboard box.
Yeah. And it was really good stuff. And we also got some of the enchanted cauliflower sandwiches that we've talked about many times from Red Rose Tavern, brought those home as well. But, that's it. We got back to our car, trekked it back to San Diego and, got home and enjoyed a little more taste of Disneyland Park when we got home with some of that great food.
Yeah. I had actually several special treats, so that was good.
Yes, that was a good day. So moving forward to the Monday, this last Monday, September 27th, that's when we went to Disney California Adventure Park. By the way, is there anything else you wanted to mention from Disneyland before I go to that?
Well, I mean, I think the only other thing is, and I know popcorn buckets are a big draw. We've gotten in lines for popcorn buckets versus
not the line that we saw at Walt Disney World this week, but yes.
and those were beautiful. A lot of those were really special looking too. But I do want to give a shout out just because it's OG and it looks OG. Is Disneyland does have their popcorn boxes right now that look very much like the original boxes from when Disneyland first opened. I have it here just kind of as a reminder. It's got the pretty kind of like teal color scheme, and it is kind of a simple looking box, but it does have a picture of the castle in Disneyland with those original font in the lettering, and then on the sides it mentions the different lands in Disneyland. And so yes, it's not a popcorn bucket, but it is a cute little box that's very reminiscent of the early days of Disneyland.
Yeah, very much a throwback, very classic, very nostalgic.
So it's kind of fun that they have those right now.
Very cool. And I enjoyed the popcorn. So
all right.
Good. Yeah. So again, moving to Disney California Adventure Park. So this time we did not have to wait for our perfection in the virtual queue because we nailed Web Slingers right away in the morning when we were home. Got it, and it was one of the earliest groups we'd ever gotten. It was, not like it was super early, not like we had group 1, 2, even 10. We got like group 30, which not that early, but good. Pretty early for us. It was good, but it was also not good because we have to get from San Diego, to Anaheim, which takes about an hour and a half on a Monday to get up there. And it was like, okay, I think we're safe, but we got to get hoofing it up there. And we got there, got to the parking garage. We love the cast members, but we had the most talkative parking cast member there that was talking to everybody. It seemed like we got the wrong line.
And he talked to us for a long time too. And it's like, hey, we know what to do. Here's our money. Here's our credit card.
I appreciate him. Yeah. Very friendly and everything, but this was not the time that we needed somebody to be friendly. We got in there, got through security, booked it. We went the back way because we were actually in the Pixar Pals parking garage as opposed to the Mickey and Friends parking garage. They're right next to each other. But so we ended up going the other trail, not the normal tram way.
Right.
We went more through downtown Disney, got there, got into the park. Of course, this is the time when Disney California Adventure Park had a line to go into it.
Right.
Got in there, got to Web Slingers with 5 minutes to spare, but we made it and had a great time doing Web Slingers. And Michelle whooped my butt again.
It's one of the few video games that I can win, I guess. But I love it. It's fun, even if I wouldn't win. But it just makes it even more enjoyable to win. But yeah, you're right. It was frantic. Are we going to make it? And it was one of those experiences. Like every little step along the way was a little bit of delay. Like it was weekday traffic, which can be, unpredictable.
Morning commute traffic.
Yeah, unpredictable at times. So that was a little, we had a few slow spots there. And then, like you said, the cast member who was asking a lot of questions, talking to a lot of people, very, very friendly. And then that they did divert us. We didn't actually go into that parking lot. We were going into the Mickey and Pals parking lot. And then they directed us to go a little longer way to get to the other one. So it was just one of those, okay, what else is going to slow us down? We just need to get there to get on web slingers.
Going through security, I was wearing a belt that I've worn 100 times, gone through the metal detector, never get stopped. This time, of course, is the time that they stop me and I have to get scanned. So it's like every little thing. It was pretty funny, but we made it and it was all good. We had a great time doing web slingers. And after doing all of that, of course, the drive up, the rush to get to there, the actual activity that is web slingers. Of course, we were very hungry.
Yes.
So we went over to Pim's Test Kitchen and decided to try out breakfast there for the first time ever. And we had I'd say was a pretty enjoyable breakfast.
Yeah, I got the junior meal, which was really great. It's eggs and it's turkey bacon.
She got the Nano Eggs Experiment 101, which is softly arranged eggs with turkey bacon with toast. And served with with the Cuties Mandarin Orange and your choice of milk or water. $7.99, good price.
Yeah. The toast is that same. It's kind of like like a focaccia bread.
Yeah, kind of. They call it like the Pim's bread or something like that.
Right. Yeah. So but it is funny. It's like a half slice of one of those little.
But it's sourdough. It's tasty.
Yeah, it really was good. And I ate the orange too. It was good. Good girl. But yeah, I liked it.
Full bottle of water too, not like one of the little squatty Dasanis.
Yeah,
it was the full size
Dasani,
which was nice. Yeah.
Right.
So it was good. I got the larger version of that. I got the calculated breakfast, which it's called calculated breakfast equals E times 2 plus B plus P divided by T or something like that. I don't, whatever. But it's eggs 2 ways with smoked bacon, crispy potato bites. They are tater tots.
Right.
When focaccia toast, I had the full size focaccia toast, $10.99. Great. The eggs 2 ways. One is scrambled. One is like a quail's egg that is fried. So it's a little tiny egg, which is really, really cute. The great thing about why I was surprised is like a lot of times you get a fried egg from a quick service restaurant or something like that. Okay, it's fried egg. But the yolk is going to be, no, this was actually a runny yolk, which was nice to go with the toast. Again, it's a kind of a sourdough focaccia toast.
Right.
And it was really good.
Yeah. I think for the additional money, you did get, an equivalent amount of food that should go with it. So it was good. Yeah. They did a good job. And it's fun food to look at, especially yours with how they arranged it. If you haven't been to Pim's Kitchen, they do a lot of things because of like with Ant-Man with sizes of, exaggeration of something. So whether it's being something really tiny with something very large accompanying it, like their chicken sandwich is hysterical or this tiny bun and this giant piece of fried chicken.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's pretty funny. And which we got later, the Choco Smash bars, which are like basically Snickers bars with brownies in them, but they're like, it says bite size on the wrapper, but they like, it extends way out. It's like this huge chocolate bar that like 2 people can easily.
Definitely extends out beyond the bar wrapping. And
that kind of stuff is so fun. And those, by the way, get those. Those are delicious.
God, they are
we did.
good.
We took 2 of those home with us. Not that we didn't eat those all in one sitting. Those were definitely 2 different desserts for us. So it was a really busy day at Disney California Adventure
Yes.
Park that day. There were a lot of people there, and I think that has to do with the Magic Key now being available, and the fact that maybe there's a lot of people that their Magic Key may be blacked out on the weekends. So a lot of them are going there on Monday. So it was very busy. So we didn't do a lot of attractions, actually. We only did one other attraction on the day. We went to go see Mickey's PhilharMagic again because we had to go see the Coco scene again because it is so
spectacular.
Good. It is. One, we already love Mickey's PhilharMagic. We think it's an underrated attraction. But when that addition of the Coco scene was so good, and we loved checking it out once again.
Right. I know they haven't quite rolled it out yet at Walt Disney World. I know it's coming soon. And I do agree with you that it is underrated. I think especially the one at Walt Disney World, you have so many things going on there that it's kind of hard. Even like, although I love it, when I'm at Walt Disney World, it's like, yeah, I can pass this up. Maybe too, because I know we have it at Disneyland. But so.
And they're refreshing a lot of right now. I think Mickey's PhilharMagic is already closed at Walt Disney World. They're refreshing a lot of the visuals, a lot of the projection devices there. So you're going to get better 3D, and they're going to add this scene as well. I believe it's opening like November 11th. Don't quote me on that date, but it's sometime in November for sure. So you'll want to check it out just for the Coco scene alone. It is so good. The one thing I found interesting and funny when we were watching this show is that we had like 2 or 3 little kids in front of us. And you know how the projections, if you've been to Mickey's PhilharMagic, they're so good. The 3D is really, really good. Like it feels like you could reach out and touch it. Well, whenever something came out of them, the kids were trying to reach out and touch all these things. Cute. It was so funny.
Yeah, the kids love it. They were dancing around with the music and everything. It's always enjoyable to see, the fun that it brings the kids.
Yeah, it was a great time.
Yeah.
So, but one thing we did have a great time experiencing during that day at Disney California Adventure Park is that we were lucky enough to get a lot of run-ins with characters, unexpected ones that maybe normally you might have to wait a long line in, but we did not have to. Like we lucked out of being at Avengers Campus, which again, Avengers Campus, awesome. Love Avengers Campus. It is so good. That we were lucky enough to be there right at the spot as Iron Man walked out.
Right. Yeah. I think we were second or third in line. And we know it's a photo op, and, like they do with all the characters now, you just you can do selfies with them. But I was surprised at how much he conversed.
Yeah. He asked us a question about what he should add to his armor. Should it be something along with nanotech that, strengthens his armor or whatever? Or should I have a smoothie blender? Of course, we went with the blender, although I think ours would have been more like for pina coladas, not, smoothies, but whatever floats your boat. It's all
exactly. Good. Yeah. Now, that was a great ability to have that sighting and be right, as you said. The timing was perfect so that we didn't have to wait in a long queue.
Yeah.
Because these characters do get a lot of love from people, and sometimes those lines can get pretty long, and they don't stay out super long.
Yeah, but it was a great experience, and we got to get some selfies with Iron Man, and that was a good time. Another great one was we went over to Paradise Gardens to go check out the Fiesta de la Familia that's going on. And we talked about actually a lot last week. We discussed it quite a bit last week, and the Coco performance that's there. We didn't see the Coco performance. We tried to go there once, but the crowd was already there, and Michelle, being height challenged, there was no way she was going to see more than the tops of people's heads. And we've seen it before, so we didn't really stick around for it. But what we did get to go in as we were walking through there is notice that Miguel was there taking pictures with people, and the line was relatively short. So yes, and you may see it in our title work here. We did get a picture with Miguel, and it was so fun to meet him.
Right. I mean, I know we talked about it at our last episode when we were mentioning, some of the special things that go on there during this time of year. But yeah, it's still always amazing to see the puppetry and how lifelike the motions are. And even close up, because you think some things like that, you might, it looks realistic from afar, but when you get close, then it may look a little more clunky. But no, it's, and can't help but just be talking to this puppet as if it was a real person.
He was. And he was strumming his guitar and everything. It was so good. It was really, really great.
It was really, really good.
One of my favorite experiences from the entire day.
Right. I mean, another thing that we timed out pretty well by chance was seeing, going back to Avengers Campus, the Amazing Spider-Man show.
Oh, right.
I just can't get enough of that. It's just, it's short, but it's amazing to watch and to see that audio animatronic fly like that. Looks so lifelike.
Yeah, I posted a video of it just this last week because we were like front and center and really captured it this time. We'd seen it before, but we were way off to the side and couldn't really see it as well as this time. But this time we were front and center, and it's short, but it's a lot of fun. And that audio animatronic. I mean, really Spider-Man flying is really, really cool to check out.
Right. And I do like how the cast members maintain a safe flow, because when you're standing there to watch it, it's like at the entrance, at one of the entrances for Avengers Campus. So it does have a lot of people coming in and out in front. And so they do a great job of putting, kind of where an imaginary line would be of where people who are going to stand there and watch it, and they have it high enough in the air that you can see it, that the people walking by don't distract from that. But I mean, can I say one other thing about Avengers Campus, or
absolutely.
were you going to go back to that?
No. I mean, we did go back to Avengers Campus at the end, but I was really not really touching on it much because we've talked about Avengers Campus in the past. But if there's stuff you want to bring up, for sure.
Well, I just want to bring up about the Doctor Strange Mysteries of the Mystic Arts show. So that one, when they first opened Avengers Campus, they really kind of limited the number of people who would go into the show because they wanted you to have a certain type level of experience under these, overhead like specialty lamps or whatever. And I just want to say, I think they've realized they can't, especially since the show, most of their shows, they do like 6 times a day. I looked it up for almost all of them except Spider-Man. It's a little bit more. So if you want to see that show, the fact that they're only doing 6 a day, I think they came to the conclusion they need to let more people in. So they do. It is a standing room only in kind of a small octagonal shape area, I think, that you can experience that show. But I do want to say, if you do want to experience it, you really need to get in the queue early. It does fill up, and they can't let everybody in because it is standing room only and it's very crowded. But even without a pandemic, it's just, it's a lot of people trying to get in.
We are still yet to see it. We thought we might be able to do it this time, but we were just a little too late.
I mean, we've captured some glimpses from afar, but you really can't appreciate the experience unless you're in there. So it definitely does look like one to try out.
It's definitely something we are still looking forward to on our future visits to Avengers Campus.
Yeah. And I didn't know if you were going to talk about a special drink that we tried in Hollywood.
Oh, the Fanta Colada.
Spooky Spirit.
Yes.
Which I think I had mentioned in our last episode when we were talking about foodies, but it's Fanta Pina Colada with white rum and melon liqueur. And surprisingly, I think we thought it would be kind of good, but it was really good. I mean, I think you could really, especially taste the essence of the coconut in it that I didn't think we would. Yeah,
the Fanta Pina Colada was very prominent in it. The rum and the melon liqueur, there's not a lot of that in there. But you definitely, and it was tasty. I just don't know if it was really boozy, you know. So and it was like, it wasn't an inexpensive drink either. So just know that going into it, but it was delicious, so.
Right. If you're thinking of trying it. Yeah. I mean, like you said, I think you captured it well. It's not cheap, it's, one of the higher end cocktail prices at the parks. But it is different, and it's something fun to at least try to experience it. I would like to recreate it. Maybe it's a Disney dish coming up.
Yeah, sometime. If I can find the Fanta Pina Colada, that's the thing.
They do have it at your local grocery store now.
I will track it down and maybe I will recreate that with a little more booze in ours.
Right.
That's how we roll.
But just be aware, they do have one that's called the Fanta does have one called Pina Colada. They do have another one that's pineapple, but that's not the same one.
I've done the pineapple Fanta.
Really?
That's really delicious too.
Yeah. So natural flavoring. It's still, it's not healthy. It's got
natural flavoring.
It's got sugar in it. Yeah. But something to try out for sure.
Yeah. So that was good. Speaking of that, that was right around that time we also ran into Minnie at the stage there, where they have a lot of the Disney classic characters decked out in their Avengers bounding gear, essentially. There's because since it's right close to Avengers Campus, it's in Hollywood land, but close to Avengers Campus, they're kind of bounding as Avengers characters, and she had hers on, and she was adorable.
Yeah, she had her little Spider-Man outfit on, but yeah, it was great, and it is nice that again, she's on a stage, so you're not going on the stage, you're just in front of her, but you can get good selfies, and that's an area where you can almost always find some character out there, and they stay a fairly long time. So
you can get some great pictures there if you just hang around that area. There's food and drink there as well. There's not a lot going on there besides that, but
they do have still the WandaVision photo op there, which you can do either. It's like you're on the couch in like a television screen.
It's like a black and white set.
Right.
Yeah.
You can do either one. You can, because you're setting
the set is actually black and white. You can set your photo to make you black and white or color.
Right. And so, I think that's so interesting and unique and interactive. And that's one that's very popular. I always see a lot of people there.
That's all. And we've gotten a picture there at some other point. The other one character I think that we got a picture with was Big Al from the Country Bear Jamboree, which was random that we came across him. Right. That was a fun picture as well.
Yeah. It's funny because when we saw him, actually it seemed like he was leaving to go backstage, but no, they just put him in an area that, again, provided some distance from people, but it was cute seeing him over at Disney California Adventure Park.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah,
that was fun. So the one other thing I really want to talk about that we got to experience while we're there is that we did get a reservation. We were doing the reservation search multiple times during the days before we went out to Disney California Adventure Park, but we did get a reservation for the Magic Key Terrace dining, and this was a place that we loved back in the time when it was the alfresco tasting terrace. And so we were looking forward to going up there and checking this out. We got a reservation.
Right. And even the menu items have changed since when they first made it a pass holder only restaurant. They did change it, and it seemed like when we were looking at it a few days ahead of time that it had some really great small plates.
Yeah. So if you don't know where this location is, it is if you go to the Wine Country Trattoria space there, it is actually up the stairs that are right next to where you check into the Wine Country Trattoria. There's one side that used to be the alfresco tasting terrace, which is on the right-hand side if you're looking towards it. And that is kind of outdoor, and it's it's a small, quaint space.
Right. It's got like an overhang of wine, of grapevines and things like that. Really trying to evoke that California Napa Valley kind of area.
Right. And that's where we used to always go to the tasting terrace over there. Since they've opened this up as the Magic Key Terrace to allow more the Magic Key holders access to it, they have opened up that other space that's on the other side of it. That used to be kind of more of an extension of the Wine Country Trattoria.
Right, like level 2.
I think we've eaten, like when we've done a dessert or a dining package there up there before. But it, for the most part, has been closed. There've been no people up there. Well, since they want to get more people in, they have now opened that up. And that is where they sat us. Wah, wah.
I know. Originally, I was really excited. It's like, okay, as long as, and we did request if we were going to be seated by the edge, so you could look out over California,
which is a great view over looking at the Pacific Wharf area and on the Pixar Pier and that whole space. Yeah,
right. And so she did, say, yeah, that's where I was bringing you anyway. So that worked out. That was exciting. But yeah, that's kind of where, once we sat there and realized the acoustics around were
that's a little louder. Yeah. I mean, not that we were able to hold a conversation with one another without screaming at one another. But the noise was amplified in that space. And that's because I think they have like some plexiglass kind of there. The roof kind of slants and it just kind of cuts off that area near the edge. So it's just a little noisier. So we, it's like, okay, well, maybe next time if we do this, we'll wait and ask for a table on the other side with the tasting, what used to be the tasting terrace area. Fine. We did order some food there and a couple glasses of wine. We got the Sterling Vineyards Merlot, which was really, really good. We enjoyed that very much.
Great choice, honey.
And we got the Condor Flats bread, which is a duck confit, goat cheese, seedless grapes, and green salad and fig jam flatbread. That ran for $16. What did you think of the flatbread?
I really liked it. I really thought it was very tasty, and so enjoyed it. I think it went well with the wine that we had, so I was glad we did get that.
It was good. It could have been better.
Yeah,
it was good. I realized there were a couple bites where I got a little bit more of the goat cheese. And when you got the goat cheese, it really rounded out the flavor of it, because the fig jam kind of made it a little on the sweeter side for most part of it, but then you got the richness from the goat cheese, and that really balanced it out. That would be the one thing that I would say is if they would just add a little more goat cheese to it, it would have been really, really perfect, but it was good. I enjoyed it. I thought it was worth the money, and it hit the spot.
Exactly. Can I talk about some of the other things with that menu?
Sure.
So one of the things that beforehand had looked at on the menu when we knew we had the reservation for here was that they did have a scallop dish that sounded really delicious, and so I was really excited that I was going to have that, and then I thought we'd get that and this other dish that was it's funny because it was meatballs, but it just also had some really great accompaniments with that. And when we first sat down, our server mentioned right away, the scallops is not on the menu today, nor are the meatballs. So it was
the menu was a little limited.
Yeah, it was kind of like, oh wait, what? And it's really surprising. I mean, when you go to Disney, you never expect them to say they're out of something. I mean, it wasn't like the end of the day that you're like, okay.
It was like 1:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah. And so it was a little surprising to hear that, and she did actually apologize that the scallops was even on the menu. I noticed, I did check for today's episode, and it is no longer on the menu there. So they have scrapped that. But it was interesting hearing her explanation.
Yeah, it's because we all know that across the country right now, and especially with restaurants, but many industries, staffing is an issue right now. And apparently that is the case. Well, we knew it was the case with Disney already,
right?
But with their chefs, and they said that, look, we just don't have the staff right now that can cook scallops. We don't have a specialized person to be able to do this kind of dish. So they had to, just take it off their menu for right now, at least that's what we were told.
Right. I mean, I give them credit for not trying to serve something that may be below par, because, scallops, and I'm not saying you need the most skillful person, but there is a skill set to that, that you can easily ruin them. I've done that easily.
I've done that, and I've cooked scallops a ton of times, and I've messed them up occasionally.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm glad that they recognize that rather than just serve something because it was on the menu, that they didn't make that offering. I do know also that with supply chains right now, it's really weird to be talking about this, but that, and especially over at Long Beach at their pier, that they're, have so many cargo ships just waiting to be unloaded. So I do know supply chain also plays into some of these things, but it was just surprising. I can't think of a better way to say it, to ever have that kind of experience at Walt Disney at a Disney park.
Yeah. But overall, I mean, we enjoyed our trip to the Magic Key Tasting Terrace, or whatever they call it, Key Terrace.
Right. And I would go back there. I thought,
we would just wait and ask for the outside area, which is the space that we love.
Right. It's just, I do think but I have to say, if you have especially small kids, I think the side that we were on is probably a little more comfortable, because you do have more of they also have booths. The ones the area that's closest to the edge where you can look out over the park is on high stools. But the ones, they also have booths that are normal seating in that area.
Lower tables.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's easier for kids. It also, frankly, if they did need to get up and move around a little bit, there's space for that. Whereas in the other area, it's a little bit more confined. It feels a little bit more adult on the other side, that I would think kids wouldn't be as comfortable. So it depends who's in your party that day.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. So also there was a gin, like a flight. Trio of gin. Yeah, it was a gin flight, essentially, of the trio of drinks that you were debating on getting for yourself. You decided against it, but there was someone at a table near us that got it. And you asked them what they thought of it. Right. So
the interesting part was I first asked our server about it. And although she didn't really go into a lot of detail, it's a flight. It has 3 different ones. And I did love the story behind it. So what this offering is 3 different gin cocktails that bring in the essence of soaring, which has the sea, then it has pine, and it has
the orange fields.
The orange fields, yeah. And so she says you get those, one in each of the drinks. You get the essence of that, which I thought was interesting as a story, and the fact that they are putting that together. Our server did say she sees a lot of people not liking the sea version, the drink with the sea. So I mean, she wasn't a gin drinker, so she honestly said she couldn't give a lot of feedback on it, but just shared with us what some of the things she has heard from other customers. And it was funny because then when I did ask the person at the other table, how did she like it? She said the orange and the pine were marvelous. The sea was really weird and
not good
and not that good.
And you could see it, like it was all left on her.
Right. Yeah. She said, I was glad to try it, but yeah, it wasn't something I was going to continue drinking. Yeah. So I guess our server did have very accurate information for us. In some ways it intrigued me more to say, like, what does it taste like, where it has the essence of sea, but you don't like it. So I don't know. But
interesting stuff. But know that going in, that's kind of the way people are feeling about it if you are looking to possibly order those gin cocktails. So we wrapped up our time there, and we pretty much wrapped up our day. We went and got some of those Choco Smash bars to bring home with us. We did have to stop by and get one more of those wonderful marshmallow milk stout beers over at Avengers Campus because it's so good. And we pretty much hoofed it home.
We also got some shawarma.
Yeah, well, we took that home with us too. Yes.
Yeah. So and so we couldn't leave there without having that.
Yeah,
but,
we always hit up the shawarma.
Yeah.
So we took that home, and that's again, this is kind of something we do around here, is that we end up grabbing some food, bringing it home with us, and then having a little Disney party when we get home with our Disney food. That's we bring back,
and it makes it easier. I mean, after a long day in the park, neither of us want to really prepare a meal, and rather than just
another hour and a half drive home,
and rather than stopping from some of our old favorites around home to pick up food, we bring, like you said, have our own little separate Disney party at home.
Yep, we just bring home some of the magic with us.
Yes.
So those were our days. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about besides those?
No, I think you really captured it. I mean, I think we had a great time. Like you said, it wasn't one of those attractions heavy times at our second visit. Some of the things we wanted to go on, they were down for a little bit. So
yeah, they were actually having some difficulties. That was another thing, is one, it was busy, but it also seemed like they were having difficulties keeping attractions open on that day for whatever reason. Cars Land was off and on with all their attractions throughout the day, and we saw that with a couple other spaces as well.
Right. So then obviously once they reopened, their queues were pretty long. Mm-hmm. I again, like we've said last time, I love the decorations in both parks for the Halloween time. It really is unique. We've said this before, Cars Land especially. So it's great. They don't have Halloween decorations in Batu because I don't think they celebrate Halloween in Batu. And so if you feel like you need an area that is more of its normal original times, that's a place you can go to for sure.
You're at Disneyland, yep.
Yeah. But just, it was great being back at the parks. Had a lot of fun and some interesting things too.
Yeah. It was a great time. Both days were fantastic. So happy to be back at Disneyland. It is the happiest place on earth for sure. And we had so much magical experiences there.
Right. And although this time we didn't experience the nighttime shows, they do have some great nighttime shows that we have experienced, so whether, in certain nights they have the Oogie Boogie Bash that we talked about, and then over at Disneyland Resort they have a Halloween on weekends. It includes fireworks, and weekdays it's just the projections with the music, but when I say just, it's still very entertaining.
Yep. Great stuff. Great stuff. So that's it. That's just kind of a recap of our couple recent trips to Disneyland Park. And if you have any questions for us, if you have a trip planned within the next couple weeks, months, whatever, and you have some questions for us, we'd be happy to answer them. Just hit us up at our Gmail account or on social media. But that's it. That's our September visits to the Disneyland Resort. Okay, we obviously talked a lot about Disneyland. Apparently, we had a great time, so I'm going to rip through the Disney stories of the week really quickly. I'm going to start with, we received some great news if you're looking forward to a star cruise through a galaxy far, far away, or a visit to Xandar in 2022. This from the Disney Parks blog. They say the inaugural voyage of Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser at Walt Disney World Resort will depart on March 1st. Of 2022. So it's coming up pretty quickly here. General bookings for this immersive adventure in a galaxy far, far away will open less than 1 month from now. So on October 28th of 2021, some Disney and Star Wars fans, including Disney Vacation Club members, Disney Pass holders, and Disney Visa card members, should be on the lookout in the coming weeks for a special booking opportunity just for you. We happen to be all three of those. Right now, the only one we've received so far is that we've gotten one from DVC, and that is that we will have the opportunity this week, if we should want to book one of these Galactic Star Cruiser journeys, we will have a booking window from October 7th through the 9th for the first couple months. I think we get March, April, and it cuts off at the end of April or it's part of May. But either way, I don't think we're going to be booking, but we will be looking at it for sure.
Right. Yeah. So that's exciting. Yeah. And it's kind of like how they did when the Wish had open bookings times. It didn't go for the whole year, just went several months out. Right.
So we will be checking that out for sure. They also received more information on the sailings on the website, including the dates of all the sailings, at least the initial ones, the early ones. You can find all that info at StarWarsGalacticStarCruiser.com. Now, if you're following along with the likes of Star-Lord, Gamora, Rocket, and Groot is more of your thing, well, we have good news for you on that as well. This again from the Disney Parks blog. They said, our next major attraction, Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, will debut in 2022. That's right, 2022. Our friends from Xandar will be open the first Otherworld Showcase. So, there's World Showcase at Epcot. This is the Otherworld Showcase Pavilion at Epcot next year, inviting us on an intergalactic chase through space and time. Really sounds fun.
Really does. And, on the special, the Walt Disney World Anniversary Special, they did talk a little bit about it. And I liked how they described that it is a family coaster. So what did they say? They said it's a little bit more...
it was more than Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, but not as much as Rock and Roller Coaster.
Right. So... sounds fun.
Yeah, somewhere in between. Sounds like a perfect spot for us.
Yes.
They said Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind is a family-friendly adventure featuring a totally new type of roller coaster experience we're developing just for this attraction. It's a story coaster that rotates 360 degrees, so you're always focused on all the action as you help the Guardians save the galaxy. Not only that, but Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind will also feature the first reverse launch on a coaster in Disney history and is one of the longest enclosed coasters in the world. And this is the one thing I found interesting. It will also be the home of the Wonders of Xandar Pavilion, which will include the Galaxarium, which will feature a planetarium type presentation where Xandarians show us their world, their people, and their advanced technologies. I love that they're, bringing more of the World's Fair type thing.
Exactly.
Only it's other World's Fair type thing that Epcot is known for into this attraction.
Right. It sounds so exciting. And, they also have, the life-size
Novacore ship.
Novacore ship. Yeah. So it sounds amazing. It sounds like a lot of fun. And we're looking forward to that for sure.
Yeah, so cool. So really good. So we've been talking a lot about next year, and we're not done yet because there's another new piece of technology you might be interested in if you have a Walt Disney World vacation on the calendar for 2022. Once again, we go to the Disney Parks blog. They say innovation is essential to the Walt Disney Company story dating back to its inception nearly a century ago. As Walt Disney once said, we'll always be introducing and testing and demonstrating new materials and new systems. Well, that promise will come true once again next year when Walt Disney World Resort releases our next generation wearable technology, Magic Band Plus. So this will do all the things that your Magic Band that you have now will do, but it also has some extra things that will come along with it. It will come alive at various times with color-changing lights, haptic vibrations, and gesture recognition. This wearable technology will also allow you to engage with favorite Disney moments in new ways, including you can play like a bounty hunter in a galaxy far, far away and find virtual bounties throughout Black Spire Outpost at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Interact with the Disney Fab 50 character collection throughout the Disney World parks. And experience nighttime spectaculars in a new way, so as it will light up to complement what you're watching at Harmonious and Disney Enchantment. So really sounds cool.
Curse you, Disney! I think about a week before that announcement, I had said to you, I'm going to make the break from Magic Bands. I'll go with my phone only. And although they're nice, I just don't see the point in keep buying them. And look what they did.
They added something new.
They added
Always
something.
Get our money, don't they?
Really amazing things. And now I'm going to have to start with Magic Band Plus.
There you go. There you go. Good news about us spending money on them is that they will be discounted for pre-arrival prices for those who are staying on a Disney Resort hotel, as also if you're renewing your Walt Disney World annual pass. So you will have a chance to get them for a little less money. Now, these won't be coming available until 2022, but I'm looking forward to getting our new Magic Bands Plus is when we get the opportunity.
That's right.
So that's it for the Disney stories of the week. However, we never leave you without giving you some sort of tip that might help you on your next vacation. And we always start with Michelle because she's awesome, wonderful, great, all things best in the world. But she also has the very best tips. So let's get to it. Here's Michelle's tip of the week.
Oh, thank you, honey. You're so sweet. So I'll try to keep mine short because we have run long. So mine has to do with sharps containers. So if you have kids or even adults in your party that, for example, need to take insulin shots or, for any other reason that you might need a sharps container, we want to let you know what's available to you. So in the parks, they do have sharp disposal containers in the restrooms. If you're staying at a Disney resort, you can request one through housekeeping. So you can either at the time of your check-in alert the front desk so that they can put in that request to have for you in your room, or you can do it in advance by emailing disability.services@disneyparks.com and let them know. Just be sure to include your reservation information in that email so that they can have that ready for you.
Yeah.
So, but just to have that knowledge that you can, if you need those services, they're available to you. And of course, you can also check in at any of the first aid stations, whether you need them to store, like if you need to keep any of your medications cool throughout the day, they can store that for you as well. So that's just available to you if needed.
Really important stuff. There are a lot of people that need that type of functionality, so it's really important to know where you can find that. So good stuff. Michelle's tip.
Oh, thank you.
Always the best tip. My tip, again, really quickly here, I just want to talk about mobile ordering a little bit here. And as we mentioned throughout our discussion with Disneyland, we like to pick things up near the end of the day and bring them home with us. And usually those are some sort of mobile order items. Now, when you're mobile ordering, yes, you can obviously go on there and look for the nearest window of when time window of when you can order them. And that's great. But however, if you already know you're planning on leaving in a certain time of day or whatever, you can just go ahead and scroll and find the time when you think that you're going to be wanting that food later on in the day. And when you're at some point, make that mobile order at that point, and then you're locked in for that window of when you want it later in the day. And by the way, in the meantime, if you change your mind, you decide there's other food you want different food, you're leaving earlier, you're leaving later, you can change or cancel that up until that time that your window becomes available. And if maybe you wanted a little earlier and your window's already close by, you can also check and see if you can move it up a little bit. So just know that is available for you out there. And I think it's a great way, because windows can sometimes, those windows of when you want to order the food can go away if you're trying to do it last moment. Right. Take advantage of the early opportunity if you have an idea of when you might be wanting that food.
Right. That's a great tip, honey, and I was just going to say that there have been times that we've been ready to eat right at that moment, or start to want to leave the park and bring something out right at that moment, and there are no available windows for a while. So having that ability to plan that a little bit in advance and still know you have some flexibility is awesome.
Yeah, just take advantage of that. Mobile ordering is awesome. Use all the aspects of mobile ordering when you get the chance. So that's it for this week. Next week, well, there was something. Michelle always puts these things on the calendar, and sometimes I don't have any idea what they mean. And this is another one of those weeks. She put something on there called Magic Kingdom OG Restaurants Gone By. I assume that means we're going to be looking at classic Magic Kingdom restaurants that used to exist. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Some and we can broaden which parks or whatever. I was going to bring that up later in the week, but yeah, I just thought it'd kind of be fun to take a look back at some things that aren't there anymore. But still, we're enjoying some things that are new.
There we go. So Michelle, I'm assuming, is going to bring more of her awesome research, as she always does, to this topic. And I'm looking forward to hearing all about these, especially since since I was a latecomer to Walt Disney World, and there's a lot of restaurants I never had the chance to experience. I'm looking forward to hearing what Michelle has to say about a lot of these awesome restaurants.
I mean, I think part of it was, as I was doing research for, the countdowns, there's just so much great information out there of ways that you can address the history of Walt Disney World. But I'm also willing to throw in, if you want some Disneyland, however you want to do it, I'm very flexible.
We'll discuss it, and we'll come up with some topic around the old school restaurants at the parks coming up next week.
Or something altogether different. Who knows?
Who knows? You never know. You never know. But we're looking forward to it either way. And we appreciate that you joined us today. In the future, you can find us most everywhere you get podcasts. However, the very best place to find us is on our own website, HyperionAdventuresPodcast.com. And while you're there,
please sign up for our newsletter. We don't give that email address out for anything else, and it's just to be connected with you.
Just very quickly done. Just more of a way to be involved in the Hyperion Adventures podcast world. Another way is on social media. Please find us on Twitter at Hyperion Podcast, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest at Hyperion Adventures Podcast. Please go on over to our Hyperion Adventures Facebook group if you are on Facebook, and join in on the fun there. You can check us out on YouTube. Just do a quick search for Hyperion Adventures Podcast. Hit subscribe and you'll know whenever we have a new video. And if you ever want to contact us for any reason, please hit us up at our Gmail account, HyperionAdventuresPodcast@gmail.com.
Right. We really love hearing from you. And as you mentioned earlier, too, we really appreciate reviews. So if you have a moment to give us some stars, probably 5, or other information in the review, we'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, and if you give us a 5-star review, we will read it on the show and give you full credit, of course, just like we did for Disneyland Donna today.
Yes.
So that's it. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Hyperion Adventures Podcast. We look forward to sharing some time with you again next week. Until that time, I'm Tom.
I'm Michelle.
And we hope that you have a magical week.
Bye.